Good morning, everyone. We'll just start with a prayer. Thanks, Jane. Well, good morning, everybody. This is certainly a lot more exciting, and it's a lovely way to start off Valentine's Day. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It's great to have such energy and such vibrancy at this hour of the morning on a Monday morning in the council chamber. So, and it's great. Just to see the work that you've put into this, and I know that you're going to speak in detail about it. So just to welcome you all, to welcome Miss Lang and Miss Kennedy is on the way, the children of Cliffney National School, Ava O'Loughlin from Green Schools, you're very welcome, councillors, CEO, staff, Charlie, and everybody online, you're very welcome to this morning's meeting. First of all, we're just going to get through a couple of items on the floor just to confirm the minutes of the meeting of the Municipal District of Sligo Drumcliff held on the 13th of December. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fox and seconder, Councillor Gilroy. Any matters arising? Okay, so we're going to start off now with the presentation on the Green Schools project from pupils of Cliffney National School.
Councillor Walsh, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you today about road safety in Cliffney. A special thanks to Councillor Gilroy for organising this meeting and to Jane Golan for all the preparations she has made ahead of this meeting. We feel privileged to voice our concerns today on not just behalf of the pupils, parents and staff of Cliffney National School, but also on behalf of the residents of Cliffney.
Our school is a green school. We are currently working towards our fourth green flag. The theme for the fourth flag is transport. We want to encourage more children to walk or cycle to school. We are working with an An Taisce Green Schools travel officer, Anya O'Loughlin. Anya is helping us to examine transport and road safety in Cliffney, road safety issues in our village, and examine how we can encourage more children to walk or cycle to school. We would like to thank Anya for joining us here today.
There are many obstacles or pedestrians in Cliffney, and many reasons why parents worried about letting their children walk or cycle to school. We would now like to outline what we feel are the
Major issues.
And offer some
Solution
to these problems.
Our school, Cliffney National School, is situated on the extremely busy M15 road, the main national road linking Sligo and Donegal. Our school does not have a designated car park. We only have a small set-down area outside our school. Every morning and afternoon, when parents drop off and collect their children from school, children are getting out of cars onto a footpath which is beside a dangerously busy road. This is not acceptable. We've taken some videos to show you just how dangerous the road is.
There's a video of drop-off. Do you want to just?
Okay. If you stand outside our school at any time of the day, you'll clearly see that there is a very serious problem with the speed and volume of traffic that is coming through our village. Anya O'Glock, Green School Traveller Officer, visited our school last October and held our Green Schools Committee record data about the volume and speed of the passing traffic. The data we collected clearly shows that there is a real problem with the speed of traffic on the main road.
Take them all.
Can I go? Anya recorded data at drop-off time in the morning. Her data showed that at this time, 32.8% of vehicles were traveling over the 50 km/h speed limit, and the highest speed recorded was 81 km/h. Our Green Schools Committee went out to record the traffic at 11:30 a.m. the same day. There was a big increase in the number of vehicles traveling over the 50 km/h speed limit. At this time, 52.7% of vehicles were over the speed limit, and the fastest speed recorded was 75 km/h. We noticed that many trucks and commercial vehicles were traveling dangerously fast.
Ireland is a signatory to the Stockholm Declaration on Road Safety and the UN General Assembly endorsement of a maximum road travel speed of 30 km/h in areas where vulnerable road users and vehicles mix. Our school is a 50 km speed zone, and as you can see from our data, road vehicles are not even adhering to the current speed limit. The programme for government has committed to review and reduce speed limits where appropriate, to address both road safety issues and carbon emissions, and ensure greater compliance. A 30 km speed limit is in line with other countries: Wales, Denmark, Spain, the Netherlands, and the US. Outside schools in other counties, for example County Laois, and across the board in urban areas like Carrick-on-Shannon and Dublin City Council.
There are some measures that we would like to see. What can be done to help reduce the speed of traffic to our village? There are some measures that we would like to see implemented immediately. We strongly feel that the Garda speed van needs to be present in the village every day. This is a proven deterrent to speeding motorists. Our principal, Ellie Kennedy, has written to Chief Superintendent Glacken to voice our concerns. There needs to be an increased Garda presence and increased enforcement of penalties for motorists breaking the law.
The immediate installation of traffic lights, which would not only alert motorists that there is a school ahead, but also lights that tell motorists what speeds they're travelling at. We saw these lights in use on the way into town from Cliffany this morning. We feel they are very effective and would make motorists aware of the speeds they're travelling at. In the United States, some states have started to use speed detection cameras outside schools in an attempt to reduce speeds in school zones. Motorists caught going over 10 km/h would be issued with fines. We would love if Cliffany would be able to pilot the use of speed detection cameras.
There are many traffic calming measures that should be considered. These include road narrowing, islands on the road, signage, and speed bumps.
There needs to be a permanent solution to the car parking problem in Cliffany. Our school does not have a designated parking area. We only have a very small sit-down area at the front of the school, which parents use in the morning and afternoon. If the sit-down area is full, parents are forced to park at the other side of the road and then cross the dangerous road with the children. Staff have to park their cars on the side of the road. There's a particular problem with cars parking on footpaths. If you look at your copies of our walkability audit report, you will see examples of illegal parking. The staff and families attending Acorn Montessori and after school are gravely concerned about the parking around Cliffney National School at present, especially the illegal parking that takes place on the footpath outside the double gate of the school. The parking issue is especially evident when the children of the National School and preschool are being dropped off in the morning. Parents are trying to walk their children to school when cars, especially the increasing number of SUVs, mount the pavement in front of them in order to get closer to the school. We have had a few near misses between vehicles and children exiting the gate. We have the same issue at dismissal time. And despite begging the parents and asking them to pass the message on to relatives who may be collecting, we still have people parking on that section of pavement who may be collecting. Oh no, unfortunately, it is not just people dropping off or collecting from the school who are causing the problems. The local shop has customers who have limited mobility, who may also need to use the pavement right in front of the school gates for 5 or 10 minutes around drop-off or dismissal time. We would like to see a yellow box on that section of pavement at the very least, and a solution found that might meet their needs. Thank you for listening to me.
As part of our walkability audit, we tested the traffic lights at the pedestrian crossing. The lights only stay on constant green for 6 seconds. We feel that this is not long enough for families with young children, school groups, and the elderly. We would like to see the lighting sequence adjusted to give more time for people to cross the road. We want to see pedestrians being valued just as much as motorists are.
I'd like to see a footpath on the road leading down to Cliffney Soccer Pitch. Many of us use a soccer pitch, and we were looking forward to seeing the future development planned by Cliffney Celtic. It would be lovely to have a footpath and cycle path so that young people in the area could safely access this facility. There are no cycle lanes around Cliffney. We'd love to see the introduction of some cycling lanes. We have been participating in some cycling workshops recently in conjunction with Cycle Ireland and Green Schools, and would love proper cycling infrastructure in place to encourage cycling.
After our walkability audit, we walked up our Chapel Road. We noticed that there is a blind spot at the entrance to Seaview Park. The motorcycle line is blocked due to high estate entrance walls. This is very dangerous as many young children live in Seaview Park, and it is very important that motorists have a clear view of what is ahead of them. We would like to see a convex traffic mirror effected in the mitigate against the blocked sight lines. This would facilitate the safe crossing of pedestrians at the estate entrance.
We would like to finish by summing up the 5 key areas we feel need your attention. 1. Reduce the speed of traffic on the main road. 2. Provide a permanent solution to the car parking problem. 3. Footpath on the Mullockmore Road as far as Cliffney Soccer Pitch. 4. Increase the time given to pedestrians at the pedestrian crossing. 5. Erect a convex mirror at the entrance to Seaview Park. To finish our presentation, Emma Jane and Katie Wallace will speak what it is like living right beside the main road. Sinead Flanagan will speak about a traffic accident her family were involved in.
Hi, my name is Emma Jane Wallace. I'm a 6th class pupil in Cliffney National School. My sister and I are going to speak to you about what it's like living right on the main road. It should only take at most 1 minute to get to school and get home, but when there's loads of traffic going faster than they should, it's hard to cross the road.
My name is Katie Wallace. I'm a 5th class pupil in Cliffney National School. When we're in our house, all you can hear is cars going past the house really fast. Every day, even at night time, if I open the window a little bit, you can hear the cars going past really fast. We have a dog called Buddy, and because we live so close to the very busy road, we can't let him outside without anyone watching him so that he doesn't go out the gate. One time Buddy got out past the gate and started going down the Mullockmore Road, but luckily a lady got hold of him before he went down the Mullockmore Road, and because of the speed of cars are going, he could have gotten hit.
Also, it's very hard to get out of our gates because sometimes it's hard to get a view of oncoming traffic because of the way cars are parked. And if all cars are going over the speed limit and we are trying to get out of our house and the car is coming at 75 kilometers, there could be an accident. Thank you for listening to us. We hope that after hearing what it's like living so close to the road, you'll understand the speed of the traffic in Clifney Village.
Hi, my name is Sinead Flanagan and I am a 6th class pupil in Clifney NS, and I am here today to tell you about my mum's car accident. 3 years ago in 2019, my mum was collecting me and my siblings from school and my brother needed help getting his seatbelt on. So my mum got out of the car to get around to the other side where my brother was. There must have been a bit of a wind that day because the door must have opened a bit and a truck came by and ripped the car door off. And we had no corridor in the driver's seat for 4 days. And I'm not exactly sure how fast the truck was going, but I'm fairly certain the truck was going over our 50 kilometers an hour speed limit. This should not have happened.
Thank you for listening to our presentation today.
Well, now, that was absolutely fantastic. I'd like to welcome Principal Miss Kennedy, and also I omitted Chief Superintendent Glacken there just at the start of the meeting, so you're all very welcome. Well, first of all, that's a fantastic presentation. You should all be so proud of yourselves, even just to stand up there in public. I know there are lots of adults who would never do that, ever. I can guarantee you that. So that's probably the biggest achievement for so many of you here. So I'd just like to give you a round of applause for that, and well done to your teachers for preparing them so well. And I know, with my teacher's hat on, there's an awful lot of presentation, or an awful lot of time gone into putting that presentation together. So well done to you all. Well, just to go through the presentation, it's very clear, it's very well thought out, it's very well researched. It's clear that you've done so much, or you spent so much time on this, and you really do understand the problems. And one thing that I'm really impressed with is not only do you understand the problems, but you've come up with the solutions as well, because we can all give out about everything, but it's very difficult sometimes to find solutions to problems. Now, I know that even today I have another motion on the agenda that we'll discuss later on about funding for footpaths in Clifney Village, and I know that hopefully when we have new footpaths that will actually slow down the traffic coming through, because the footpaths hopefully will be wider, which means that the traffic is slower going through the village. But we're going to speak with the engineers about that later on. Also, you mentioned your cycling workshops that you've done. That's fantastic as well, and looking for more cycling facilities. That ties in with your active travel as well, and our local authority has received active travel funding recently as well, so we're hoping that some of that funding will be able to go into the village. So I just say well done. It's really good. You're all future leaders here, and it's great, I suppose, to come in here and to have the opportunity as well to present. And just remember that as well, that when you're asked to present again or to stand up and speak, or, you know, don't stand behind somebody else and say, no, I won't do it. It's not for me. I'm not able. You're all well able. And you've put across your points so well and so clearly. And I'm just really impressed. It's definitely a presentation that you would expect from senior students in a secondary school. So very well done. Okay, so and actually I'd like to pay credit to Councillor Gilroy as well for the work that he has done with you on this, and for inviting you in to speak here as well. And I think this is probably the start of hopefully having more schools come in and present as well, because it's from hearing from me firsthand. We're driving in cars and we're going through every day and we're rushing here, there and everywhere, but to hear the actual points and what affects you every single day, that's important, and that's why we're here, and we're here to listen and to take on board what you say. So the engineers are all online there, you can see them, and the staff as well. So we're listening, and hopefully between us all, we'll come up with solutions to make Cliffney a safer place for everyone to go to school, to work, and to live in, to cycle in, and to take your dogs out for a walk as well in safety. Okay. Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, Cahirlock, thank you. I too want to echo what the Cahirlock has said. I think it was an excellent presentation. I want to acknowledge the work that you've put into it with your teachers. I know in my own job in Tusla, we are firm supporters in listening to young people and ensuring young people's voices are listened to actively on a daily basis. And we have a number of projects running concurrently in terms of investing in children. So I think the presentation was excellent. There are a number of recommendations in it. I know they come up on a regular basis at municipal meetings and our monthly meetings. I think many of these issues have been raised. And certainly I think many of the items raised are very doable and achievable. And I think as the Cahirlock has pointed out, it is our job to listen, and certainly I've taken note of the 6 or 8 items that you've raised in your presentation. Just to acknowledge the work of Anya also, and I welcome the Chief Superintendent to the Chamber also. So well done. I think it's important that we listen to children and young people more. We should probably children and young people into the Chamber on a more regular basis, because when we continue to develop policy or strategies across the local authority, multiple policies, we don't often get the feedback from children and young people like we should do. So hopefully this is the start of things to come, and a very well done to you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Cahirlock, and thanks very much to the children. This has been my proudest day here. It's been the most fulfilling day here in this council chamber since I came in here just over 2 years ago. You are such a credit to Cliffney, to the whole parish, to all of North Sligo. I feel so proud of you all. Well done to Miss Lang on the wonderful work she did preparing you, to Miss Kennedy and to Miss McGowan, who are all so hard working, to Anya and the wonderful work she's done. And I thank Aidan for coming along, Chief Superintendent Clacken for coming along. And it really means an awful lot to us that you're delivering your message. And as the others have said, you know, you've set the road now for other schools to come in and tell us their problems and their things, and for community groups. And I also welcome Steve Barker here from the Cliffney Community Forum, just to observe what you have to say, because they're fighting your battle as well. And as you said at the very start, it was for pupils, parents, staff and residents. I think Sinead Flanagan at the end really focused attention on, and it was a powerful finish. It was super. The Wallace dog, Buddy, is also very important, but I think we can't wait for another car door to be taken off, because there may be a person behind that door, and it really is something that we can't allow to happen. I've been made well aware in the past of these issues, but never in such a good way. I'd like to thank again Chief Superintendent Clacken that the Go Safe van has been seen in Cliffney. And I know he gave me an undertaking some time ago that he would ask Go Safe to include it, and it's wonderful that it is there. And to pay tribute to the Grange Gardaí, who have been very visible in their presence in Cliffney in recent weeks and months. I got a copy of an email last week that was sent to Miss Kennedy and to Kelly Sweeney next door in the play school, and it just says, hi, it was copied to me as well. Hi all. Many thanks for your correspondence and efforts on this so far. I appreciate it is a council matter. Just to make you all aware that there was a very close call this morning again, as a small child came out at the gates of the Montessori school as a car mounted to the footpath. Both the child and the parent got a fright, and thankfully the parent reacted in time to avoid a serious accident. And that was just sent last week last Tuesday, the 8th of February. It's every week, and you know it's every week that these close shaves are happening, and we can't have them anymore. I was trying to do a bit of work about getting some parking space for you, and I kind of ran into a brick wall, but I'm going to have to go around that wall now and see if I can knock on a few more doors and see if we can do something. But you've definitely highlighted it to us. I see we had the chief executive in here earlier on. I had brought him down to see how bad it was in Cliffany at school time. Declan Noon, our senior executive engineer, is online there. And Declan was down to see what things are like down there and is very aware of it as well, as is Michael Carty, who looks after walks and things like that. It'll probably be him we'd be chasing to get the footpath down to the soccer pitch, and especially now that they're going to get their new changing rooms. They got a load of money on Friday for their changing rooms. So look, you've done proud, you've done the whole county proud, to be fair, and I salute you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members, and thank you, Chief Superintendent, for attending this morning. And I'd like to welcome you all to the Chamber. It's truly a great example to us all here in Sligo County Council. It's important that you make your voice heard in the council here, and you've done a great job in doing so. I'd like to pay great credit to all of the teachers and who all were involved in Cliffley National School, Steve Barker here, and all who are all involved in the Cliffney Forum, which is very instrumental in getting things done for the community there, you know. And I'd like to welcome you all. I don't have all the names in person, but it's great to see so many youthful people here today. You are our future, and it's very important that our young people are involved in community processes, and especially in our schools. It's a great example, and I'd like to concur with what has been already said here by my colleagues. I think we'll see more primary schools coming to the chamber here, doing their presentations, and it's important that we see this through here in the council. It's great to encourage young people to get involved, empowering our youth. This is the year of the youth, the European Year of the Youth. 2022 is European Year of the Youth. It's important that our kids understand that. It's a big year in Europe, and there's a lot of things going on in Europe, and hopefully we can avail of that here in Ireland. A lot of the funding that's going to be made available for our young people. Our young people are the change makers of every democracy, and it's important that you understand that as well. And you've sacrificed so much. Our youth have sacrificed so much of their freedom for the health and safety of others through the pandemic, and I'd like to acknowledge that here today as also. So thank you for the opportunity to speak, and it's great to see this happening here in the chamber. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to, on behalf of the executive of the council, just to thank you and congratulate you on your excellent presentation. Our road design team in the council is looking at Cliffney Village and looking at the best options to improve safety, but the insight and personal experience that you all have at the school is invaluable to the design team, and we really thank you for that. And we will be having further consultations as the process evolves. But just to absolutely thank you, and just to say that your work is extremely valuable to the outcome that will be up in Cliffney, hopefully before too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Emer. Chief Superintendent, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks. Some people say I'm too loud at times, but thanks, Councillor Cassidy, and thanks for the invitation, and really, really well done. I think somebody used the word privilege at the very beginning at your presentation, and it's a privilege for me to be here to hear you, and it's a privilege for me to be here to see the work you've done. And I really want to compliment Miss Lang, Miss Kennedy, who wrote to me on a number of occasions, and Anya from the Green Schools project, to see what you have done, your interest, the energy you've put into it, the effort you put into it. And the core mission of An Garda Síochána is keeping people safe. 3 simple words. And that comes in many, many guises, you know, be it on the roads, be it in public order, be it in crime,
or be it in whatever. And, you know, some of you may end up joining on Garda Síochána. And if you are the leaders that you've shown here today, we'd be very, very welcome to have you in our midst. But another thing that you've done is you've made everybody in this chamber, in this room and on this video accountable, and accountable to you as young citizens of the country. And Tom Fox mentioned about democracy, but, you know, this is democracy in action. And, you know, you have the senior people in Sligo County Council, and also we had our joint policing committee meeting here, and this matter was discussed. So you've got people's eyes, you've got people's ears, you've got people's interests, and from that you will get some results and some actions. So, and I think it was Maria and Ross, I think they were the two names that presented me with this. So thank you very much for this, and I will bring that back. But I'm really delighted to hear that you're focusing on health, you're focusing on the environment, and you're focusing on your community. And that's real leadership. We have youth awards every year that we acknowledge the contribution that youth make in society. And I'm not preempting anything here, but I really think that the work that you've done is certainly one of those things that could be nominated for one of our youth awards. And I'd ask your representatives or your teachers that to bear that in mind. Your parents, I think, need real compliments for encouraging you, supporting you, and assisting you with putting your model together, and and all the work you've done. I was looking at your model here, and it's a very interesting police lorry here, which I'd like to get one of them if we can, please, if anybody can sort that. But your model is fantastic, and the amount of work and time and energy and effort that went into that is fantastic. And it was mentioned earlier on about leadership, but it was also mentioned that and I sit in this chamber from time to time, and I go to many meetings. But not only have you come with a problem, but you've come with solutions, which is fantastic to see that you're solution focused. It's not just everybody else's problem. You want to be part of the solution yourselves, and you want your community to be part of the solution. And us on Garda Síochána, or our colleagues in Sligo County Council, or in the national roads, will be part of that solution and can be part of that solution with you. I want to thank Donald Gilroy for bringing forward the survey to us and bringing it to the JPC. I was very interested by a couple of things that were mentioned about the 30 kilometres and the Stockholm commitments. That's in some places. Your light sequence only being 6 seconds was a surprise, but not something that's in our place. And I know that Councillor Casserly has had an invitation to our roads policing unit to come to your school. Sergeant Aoife Hayes is there, and what I'd like to do is would you give this presentation to our roads policing unit so they can see for first hand what your experiences are, and to tell them what's happening if that hasn't already happened. So I'd like that to happen. Donald mentioned about the speed van that you mentioned up there. They're not our speed vans, they're work on our behalf and on behalf of the National Roads Authority. And I undertook at the Joint Police Committee here to bring the details of your survey to the people who operate the speed vans. There is one designated speed van north of Cliffney, but it's a couple of kilometres north of Cliffney and not that close to the village. So we will look at, and I will encourage the National Roads Authority to look at where we can, or where they can locate a speed van close to the village to encourage more awareness of the speed limits in the area. It is a difficult stretch of road, and from an engineering point of view, because it's a primary route, it is a difficult stretch of road, and parking is a difficult issue as well. But you're focusing on walking and cycling to schools, which is really welcome, and I'm delighted to see that. And I would like to see everybody walking and cycling to school, and that's not possible. There are solutions. They're not all policing solutions. There are engineering solutions. But you have brought the solutions to us and made a number of proposals. It will take some time to work through those solutions, and there's a number of agencies for that. But my commitment to you today is, number one, I want to recognise the professionalism of the presentation you've made, and also the commitment of my own personnel, be it in our roads policing unit or anywhere else, to supporting you in the schools to make sure that Cliffney is a safer place and that Cliffney School can be a safer place for you to go to school, and for you to either cycle or walk to school, and to for your parents to drop you off at school. There's no quick fix solution here, but I can assure you of commitment. It is a low accident zone, thankfully, and I know we have an example provided us here today, but there are a small amount of accidents, but one accident is too many, and one fatality is too many. So I just want to thank you again for the presentation you made, and compliment you, and thank everybody for the opportunity, and the Cathaoirleach for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. I won't be going out of here today to forget what has been said and what has been presented to us, but I will take away from you, and I have made commitments to making efforts that support your solutions, and I will continue to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, well, again, well done. I think we're just going to have another little presentation now, and you'll have to go back to school. I hope you don't get any homework this evening now. I'd say that's a guarantee. Okay, well done again. It's fantastic.
Can I just come in for one moment? I forgot to mention the display, which is the key that opened the door to bringing you in here. It's a wonderful display. I first seen it in the parish hall, and I've seen it in the school, and here again today. It's a wonderful piece of work, and by doing that little bit of design and building up your own village on a display model, you've done a wonderful piece of work, and that was the key that opened the door for you. So well done on that.
Okay, and just I'd like to have a kind of a proposer for that presentation, please, and a seconder. Okay, Councillor Gilroy and Councillor Fox. Okay, well, we're going to move on. You're staying for, Risan, you're staying, aren't you, for a little while? Yeah, okay, so it's good, I suppose, to see. Yeah, no, it's fine. You're very welcome, and you see the workings of the actual council and how we do our business as well. So, thank you. You can be excused.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, the next item on the agenda is we're having a presentation on the proposed public realm enhancements for Ross's Point, and we have Miss Leonora McConville from the Planning, Community and Economic Developments Department giving us the presentation now. Thanks, Leonora.
Okay, thanks, Cathaoirleach. Can everyone see that presentation?
Yep.
Can everyone see it? Yeah, I've shared my screen. Thank you. So thank you, Cathaoirleach, and good morning, members and everyone. I wanted to take this opportunity this morning just to talk to you briefly about a forthcoming Part 8 that we would like to put before you in the coming months. I have a hard act to follow now after the children of Clifton National School, but I'll do my best and I'll try and be brief. So this is a couple of images of Ross Point that we all know and love so well, and this project is funded by the Rural Regeneration Development Fund, and I think you all know at this stage the aims and objectives of that fund, and you should have that in front of you in my report. So it's rejuvenate towns and villages, support people to live, work and learn in their own communities, enhance unique outdoor amenities and strengthen rural economies. So what were the key issues as we saw it and as we put into the funding application in Ross's Point? And I suppose these two pictures tell a story just in terms of the amount of space given over to vehicles and not to pedestrians. So maybe lack of footpaths in certain areas, no designated crossing points. All this road space leads to speed of traffic, lack of pedestrian crossing points, etc. So the overarching vision then that we put into the funding application to the RDF was these three here, that you have that in front of you as well. So to support the function of Strandhill and Ross's Point, sorry, it was the two villages we went for, but to support the function of Ross's Point as an effective suburb of Sligo town, to enable it to grow in a sustainable and safe manner into the future. Then we talked about tourism potential and the balance between pedestrians and vehicles. So we started this whole process with an online survey, and we got 305 submissions. And what did people say in that survey? So we let people talk about the whole village. I suppose our funding application focused on the core village in terms of what we call the new road and the old village road, but people commented on everything. So there was a lot of comments on the beach area in terms of facilities, showers, toilets. Then there was comments about the connectivity between the beach and the village. Comments on the old village road in terms of a desire for footpaths, safer pedestrian environment. Some of the junctions are unsafe. Also a number of comments about speed on the new road and comments about caravan parking as well. So we took those comments, and our design consultants, in consultation with the planning section and the engineers, we come up with an overall concept master plan for Ross Point. So we kind of divided it up into different areas. So the beachfront is there in kind of peach, the beach area and the beach walks. The grey area then is the old village road and the new road, and that was the focus of the funding application. And then the green area is the upper village. So we took that master plan and put it back out to public consultation, and this time we asked for written submissions, and we got 44 submissions. And the submissions were great. They were really detailed, and some of them were like a wish list of what people wanted and what's the point. And they were really helpful in helping us kind of form a direction in terms of this project. So what were the key objectives? Ensure pedestrian safety, strengthen connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists, reduce traffic speeds, create a destination at the heart of the village, reconfigure car parking. And in this public consultation then that we did in October, we presented two options for how we could look at the old village road. I know there's different names for it, but this is what we've called it for the purposes of this project. So we had a one-way system and a two-way system, and we kind of just took a snapshot of a particular area to see how this could work. And that was just an image of how one-way could look. This is what people told us. So there was more people in favour of keeping the two-way system than the one-way system. And there was a number of different concerns, and people wanted full designs of both schemes to enable a decision to be made. So there was a bit of concern about a one-way. So what we did then was we took all the kind of submissions that we had and information that we had to date, and we went back. We did a good bit of work on where we were going. We went back to the public in December with a progress and feedback report. So the next few slides are going to be what we issued via the consultation portal to show people what we had learned and what direction we were going in. So what were the key points raised in the consultation? So speed and volume of traffic was number 1, footpaths and crossing points. 3 was parking provision, cycling provision, and protecting the green space. They were the kind of the main issues that we picked up from the consultation so far. And from that, we came up with an aim of this project to create a safe, friendly and well-connected village core with exciting, vibrant, innovative public realm enhancements, enhancing links to the beach, whilst protecting the valuable and unique environment of Ross's Point. So this is what went out in December. We listened to what you told us, and now we're looking at the key issues raised. So here are just different options of dealing with speed and volume of traffic. Improved crossing points. These are the areas we're going to look at. So the junction with the little cottage and the shop between the old village road and the new road, around where in front of Harry's Bar. We'll look at that junction and provide a pedestrian crossing point across the main road. Outside the Driftwood, we'll look at that. Also outside Osty's, and we'll also look at the junction with between the old village road and the top road, kind of opposite the golf course. So we're also going to look at how we can enhance car parking provision in Ross's Point. We're also going to look at cycling, encourage greener and safer travel. So we're looking at a two-way cycleway along the promenade, and that image there just shows, sorry, this image here just shows, you know, how this could be done. So that's the promenade, existing promenade, that's the two-way cycleway, and that's the road with car parking here and the green space. Green space possible enhancements. So again, it's just a couple of ideas. So this is what went out. Based on what you told us, we have decided to include the following interventions in this particular RRDF funded project. So again, the pink circles show the key junction improvements. The orange circles then will show the kind of the crossing points. So all the way from the old village road to the promenade, how we can look at improving the connection between the pedestrian and the sea. And sorry, this is just a list then of the different elements that we're going to be proposing in this forthcoming Part 8. So a two-way off-road cycleway extension to the promenade. So a consequent reduction in width of the main road going through Ross's Point, and this will help with traffic speeds. Additional and enhanced crossing points between the promenade and the old village road. So that's from the promenade across the new road, across the green and up to the old village road. And again, that'll help with the speed and help with improving the connection between the old village road and the sea. Enhancement and reconfiguration of car parking spaces which are located off the main road. The creation of nodes along the old village road where the pedestrian has priority and cars are encouraged to travel slowly. And the reconfiguration of key junctions between the two roads, and that's those two pink circles there. So next steps, further consultation with the businesses and residents in the village and is needed, and that came across very clear in the public consultation. So we've listened to that, and it'll be the next thing that we'll be doing, and then of course the Part 8 consultation process. So that is that is it. I'll take questions. If anybody has any questions, I'll stop sharing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leonora, for that detailed presentation. And it's very good timing just to show how, I suppose, democracy is in action here again, because you've shown that the importance of public consultation as well, that everybody has asked their opinion and people just don't go and do things without consulting others and making sure that it affects people positively. So, and what's very familiar as well, what you said is a lack of footpaths, no designated crossing points. And I suppose just over the years with the design of villages, you know, there wasn't a huge emphasis at the time on, you know, pedestrians and cyclists. It seemed to be more focused on, you know, wide roads for vehicles. So the consultation I have to give you a lot of credit for as well, because at the time it was during COVID, and normally when you have a public consultation, you invite people in to speak in public, maybe on a few different occasions, and then everybody gives their opinion, and that's taken back to the engineers. But it was difficult this time because of COVID, obviously. So you couldn't meet people. So you were dependent very much on people submitting their views online, and that was difficult as well, because a lot of people just don't do. They don't work online, or they for whatever reason they're not comfortable, or they would prefer speak to people face to face. So I know that Leonora made a huge effort, and she spoke on the phone with an awful lot of residents there as well, and the residents got their points across. So that's very, very important, and it takes time. And people think, well, you know, why isn't this happening sooner? It's important to put the time in so that the results are right for everybody at the end. So just to acknowledge that, Leonora, because I do know from speaking with you on behalf of residents there in Ross's Point, that there was a huge amount of positive over and back in so much as I suppose you could with COVID. So that has to be acknowledged, and the residents are very grateful for that as well. So so I suppose what you're saying is the options, because again, we have funding, the options are doable, and they're progressive. There's a huge demand for improved cycling and walking facilities everywhere, not just in Ross's Point, but all over the country. And you still want to keep, and residents there in particular, because there are an awful lot of residents living in the heart of the village, they're very concerned, and they're keen to make sure that the old village feel and it isn't lost, and that it's still, they're living there as well. and they will continue to live there, and there are lots of young families there as well. So they want to make sure that it's still a village type environment, and they have it has a welcoming village feel to it. So just again, and the same with Strandhill and the consultation that happened there, very, very important. And I think as we progress, I think that consultation is going to be an awful lot more important and a lot more popular, and people will get used to putting their views across and to giving their opinion, and to make sure as well that, you know, if somebody says, well, nobody asked me for my opinion, well, you say, well, you know, it is out there. You are invited to make a submission. So anything that you have an issue with, make sure that you put it down, or you pick up the phone and you tell somebody your opinion, because then the decision might be made without you giving your opinion. So just thank you, Leonora, for that. It was very worthwhile, and it's an excellent presentation. Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, thanks, Caherlock. And again, just to acknowledge the work of Leonora and the team on this. And also to acknowledge the work of Declan Noon and Damien Henry. I know many of the issues raised during the consultation process have been issues that were constantly raised by Ross Point Development Association over many, many years. The speed on the way into the village, the lack of safe cycling infrastructure to the beach, caravan parking, illegal parking, speed on the old village road. I think it's a very ambitious project. I think it certainly would transform Russell's Point into where it should go and what it needs to be. I welcome the fact there was 305 submissions at the initial stage, 44 in the second stage, and I also welcome the fact that there will be further engagement with the businesses in the area, and I think that's vital that we bring as many along with change, particularly infrastructure change, as we can. Just on the old village road, I think it's a little bit disappointing. I think we probably had a little bit of a chance to do a little bit more on this. I think it's disappointing that we're still going to have cars on that old village road. You know, I know there has been a few that weren't supportive of pedestrianising it, but I certainly would have felt that you know, pedestrian only part of the old village road would have been a huge asset to Ross's Point. I suppose moving forward, Leonora, in terms of timeline and funding streams, where are we going in terms of timeline? You're going back to consultation phase in terms of funding for this project. You know, what timeline are we looking at, and when are we making application this year? Thank you, Caherlock.
Thank you, Councillor.
Would you like to wait, Leonora, until we've just finished?
Fine. I'll take the questions at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Leonora, for a very detailed presentation. It's good to see progress being made in the Ross's Point area and in Strandhill. I suppose Ross's Point is in the Sligo Drumcliff Municipal District, and that's the one we'll be focusing on here this morning. Look, it's great to see so much interest and to see so many people participating in the public consultation. I suppose when the funding is available, we should avail of the funding. I've been liaising with the school principal out there, Dervla Gill, in recent days in relation to the road between the school and the church and the graveyard. It doesn't seem to be mentioned on this. It seems to all of this public realm seems to be focusing on the new road and the old village road, and I've been asked to make representation in relation to the road outside the school. It's a very relevant point here today. And the footpaths between the school and the church there, it's a very important issue, and the residents in the area have asked me to bring this up. So yeah, it's great to see you know, the interest in the area, and I look forward to liaising with the community out there further. And the business people are also concerned about this, how it'll affect the way they do business, and it's important that they're listened to, and that, you know, if we have to listen to their wants and needs. But at the end of the day, they attract a lot of business to the area, and create employment in the area. So it's important that we listen to that. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Caherlick. Again, thanks very much, Leonora, for your presentation and all the hard work, and I do appreciate what you put into it. You probably don't have the answer at this point in time until the kind of final designs are done. I'm always concerned about money and that the breakdown between Ross's Point and Strandhill, that it's as level as possible, as close to 50-50 as it can be made. I noticed that a lot of the submissions, people have requested more detailed design, and I have to say, even myself, people have asked me questions, and I just haven't been clear from the documentation so far as to exactly what it is, and maybe I'm being a bit preemptive looking for that, but shocked to see the words that both Strandhill and Ross's Point would become suburbs of Sligo town. I don't think that's what our county development plan says at the moment. I'm not so sure that that's what the rural regeneration is about, creating suburbs of towns. You know, it's not the SRDF, the Suburban Regional Development Fund, it's the Rural Regional Development Fund. As Councillor Fox says there, I have a motion actually today about the road up at the school, and the green area on the map which is residential but also has the school, the church, the graveyard, the golf club, all of that up that end of the village seems to be kind of people seem to think they're being a little bit forgotten, and I know the funding is for the frontal area, that where the two roads are, but we can't leave those people behind, and I discussed that with Declan last week about this motion that I have today. So look at well done, huge amount of submissions. I have them there, and I've been looking at them, and we look forward to getting the more detailed design, which would be, and I think the 5 points that you had, the similarity with the 5 points that the research our visitors today did in Cliffany is astounding, that really the concerns everywhere are the same. People who live in villages all over the county have the same concerns, and Ross's Point has been asked for their opinions now as part of this consultation process, but Cliffany is coming forward with theirs, and I'm sure if you went to any other village in our municipal district, you would get very, very similar top 5 points. I'm sure 4 of them would be the same anyway, so well done on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Leah.
Okay, thank you. So I suppose the first question was about funding and timelines. So I suppose what we need to do after the Part 8 is approved, we'd go for Category 1 funding to the RRDF, the Rural Regeneration Development Fund. So that call comes out once a year or once every 12 to 18 months. So we won't make this year's call. I think the deadline for this year's call is 29th of April, and so we won't make it because we're not ready yet to go even for Part 8 yet, and there is an issue with match funding as well that needs to be found to fund this project in the first place. So you know, hopefully we'd be in a position to go for funding next year when the call for Category 1 funding comes out. So that's what I'll say on that. Then in terms of the road outside the village at school, I think I might let Declan talk about that. Obviously, you know, we focused on a small section of Ross's Point. The project can't do everything, otherwise it'll never happen. We can only do so much. And Councillor Gilroy, you mentioned, you picked up that I called Ross Point a suburb. I suppose I meant an effective suburb. I didn't mean it was a suburb of Sligo, but I suppose what I really meant is that it's an important, it does perform an important residential function. So it's an important part of the greater Sligo area. That's really all I meant. But of course, it's a village in its own right, and a community in its own right. And that's one of the reasons that we're trying to enhance it. And in terms of the 50-50, again, yeah, that just depends. So the consultants are doing an outline cost plan at the moment. So yeah, in terms of the capital funding, we'll look at trying to do it 50-50 as much as possible. I suppose it depends. It depends on what is proposed in the part dates and what's approved in the part dates for each village. So I think I've addressed everything there. If anybody else has any other questions, or Declan, you might want to talk about the upper village. Yeah.
Yeah, Leonora, thanks. I think we'll be talking about that. I think there's a North motion, Councillor Gilroy, so we probably will deal it under that North motion. Okay.
Thank you, Ciarán.
Thank you. Just Councillor Walsh indicated that he wants to come in again for a
Yeah,
second.
no, and I won't hold things up, but just, I suppose, Leonora, during the consultation piece, you know, the caravan piece has come up now for the last 5-6 years in media, online, and as part of this consultation. So what we're saying is we're not addressing this as part of this project, because the likelihood is that we're not going to be doing another major project in Russell's Point for some time. So are we saying that we are putting in no safe parking for caravans, which is Ross Point is one of our main tourist destinations, as part of this fund, as part of this infrastructure project? Are we saying that we're making provision for no caravans or camper vans in Ross Point?
I suppose our main function is to really look at the old village road and the new village road in the heart of the village. That was the purpose of the funding application. We never set out to look at the beachfront or the beach area. I know it has been raised, but to be honest, I mean, Declan might want to come in on this as well. I'm not sure what we can do in terms of providing for camper vans. There's a campsite in Ross's Point that should be providing for the camper vans. I don't know, through the chair, if through the Cathaoirleach, if Declan Noon wants to come in on that.
Thank you. Yes, Declan.
Yeah, Cathaoirleach, look, it's something that we probably discussed, and the scheme, the RRDF scheme can only do so much, and I don't think we are making any provision for camper vans through this scheme, Leonora and Cathaoirleach.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, can I have a proposer for the presentation, please? Councillor Gilroy and Councillor Walsh. Thank you, Leonora, and thank you, Declan, for your contributions. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the deferred motions. So the first motion on the agenda is Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, thanks, Cathaoirleach. This is on the agenda for quite some time. Riach on Sea in Ballygawley Village. You know, residents here, I mean, this is going on and on and on and on. And I'm quite aware that Mark Cummins has done huge amount of work on this in terms of enforcement and working with the developer to bring the state up to the standard of taking it in charge. But do we have an estimated timeline on where we're going with this? Because it's going on and on and on, and there's very little work to be done here. I know in December 2020 the lighting has been taken over, which is very, very welcome. I think there has been a small amount of footpath repair to be done and a small drainage issue, which possibly are now complete. And my understanding is that the wastewater treatment system has been brought up to standard. So in effect, are we going to see this on a monthly meeting agenda in the not too distant future? And can we provide clarity to the residents in this estate?
Frank, are you going to address that one?
Yeah, sorry, Cahill. Yeah,
Okay.
I can come in on that. Yeah, so there was one outstanding issue in relation to the wastewater treatment plant, and it came about because of complaints from some of the residents of the noise emanating from the treatment plant. And I think those works have now been completed, so we will now move on to the next stage of taking that estate in charge.
Thank you, and I want to thank you, Frank, for the reply. And I know there has been a considerable amount of work on this, but I suppose the question is, do we have a timeline?
I don't have a timeline. We have a long list of estates that we're working on. On average, we try to take 10 estates in charge each year. So, yeah, Reeknashi should be one of the estates that we'll be looking to take in charge this year.
Thank you, and I welcome the reply. And I know the residents in the estate in Ballygawley will welcome the reply. Thank you, Cahill.
Thank you, and I'll second that motion, actually. Thank you, Frank. Councillor Walsh again.
Yeah, this is a deferred motion just in relation to the Teelan Centre in Killooney. I'm a director of the Teelan Centre, and like many community centres and ran by a community and voluntary body across the county, I want to acknowledge the work that they have done over the COVID-19 period and over the pandemic since March 2020. There's not a week where there's a community group doesn't call or email me. We've over 400 community groups in this county who are financially struggling, have taken out credit union loans or Community Finance Ireland loans or Cloncredo loans to keep their facilities and keep their loan facilities serviced. Over the last 2 years, they haven't had their festivals, they haven't had their annual sponsored walks, they haven't had their annual fundraisers, which are the backbone of these community centres. They have had no rental income over the COVID pandemic, and I welcome the recent announcement from government. I know in Sligo, I think we have about 360,000 COVID payment, which is now open. Community Activities Grant is now open through Dorothy Clark's section, and I would ask that the Teelan Centre be prioritised in this. It's a huge operation ran by a small group of volunteers, and I want to acknowledge the work of Claire Devine and Sandra Brown and John, the caretaker in the Teelan Centre, keeping an operation like this and keeping bills paid over the pandemic with no rental income in a place like this. I think they deserve huge credit. And there are many centres like this across the county who've no income for that 24-month period. So I would ask that centres be prioritised in the Community Activities Grant of large scale, which are solely relying on rental income to keep the lights on, keep their insurance paid, keep their registrations paid, and keep their staff paid. Thank you, Cahill.
Is it Dorothy? Are you going to reply to that one?
Through the chair. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry, Aisling might give this one if that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Aisling.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. There's been a number of grant schemes to support the community and voluntary sector during COVID-19, funded by the Department of Rural Community Development and administered by Sligo County Council and Sligo LCDC. So just an example, we had the COVID-19 Emergency Fund, and under this scheme, overall funding received from DRCD between April 2020 and December 2021 was 107,527, where we had approximately 92 grants administered. The Community Enhancement Programme also allowed flexibility to provide for COVID-19 related capital expenditure, and the total allocation we received here in 2020 was 172,932. And the current scheme, as Councillor Walsh said, that's open currently is the Community Activities Fund. And I suppose this came about really by recognising the challenges faced by the community sector as a direct result of COVID, such as the reduction in income generation and the impact it has and will have on the community and voluntary sector. And this would have been documented by the Community Response Forum. And on the 9th of November, the Minister for State with responsibility for community development launched this additional funding stream. So as I said, this scheme is open and has been open for applications from the 11th of January and closes on the 28th. It's a once-off fund which will be allocated by the department's community and under the Community Enhancement Programme and administered by Sligo LCDC. The allocation to Sligo LCDC is 268,168. 60% of the fund we think will assist operational costs and 40% for small scale capital works. The grants will help support communities, particularly in disadvantaged areas, with their running costs such as electricity, refuse, heating charges and other non-pay related operating costs such as existing rental and lease costs and insurance bills. In addition, applicants seeking funding under the larger capital related categories, we're asking groups to ring us and talk about the projects. And Jude Mannion in the community office here, he's already had, I think, about 20 or 30 queries in relation to the scheme, and we're happy to talk to groups about their projects, in particular where they're looking for maybe larger projects. But I suppose these will be limited as well to maybe a cap of 7,500. The scheme opened, as I said, on the 10th of January and has been promoted widely through the PPN, through our own council social media, elected members notified, ads were placed in the Champion and the Weekender. And as I said, the scheme remains open until the 28th of January, and thereafter applications will be assessed and brought to the LCDC at its April meeting.
Thank you for that report, Aisling. Do you want to come in again, Councillor Walsh?
Yeah, I'll be brief. Thanks, Aisling. And I suppose this notice motion was submitted prior to the last scheme being announced. So it is welcome that this once-off fund is in place. And just to acknowledge the work of Jude Mannion back in this section, I think Jude is extremely efficient and easy to deal with for the community groups. I know a number of groups I'm working with on about 10 applications for the scheme. So I've no doubt there'll be a large influx and I've no doubt that the scheme will be oversubscribed. I don't doubt that. So look, do we have a timeline? I know the 28th is the closing date. What sort of a timeline on that announcement for the Community Activities Fund in terms of that being announced to the community voluntary sector?
Yeah, through the chair, that will have to, it's an LCDC scheme. So our plan is to bring a report and recommendation to the LCDC at their April meeting.
Thank you. And just on seconding the motion there, I'll be brief as well. Thank you, Aisling, for the report. And just to echo what Councillor Walsh said, just in relation to the Trojan work that volunteers and staff working in these organisations, they have done throughout COVID, and also to welcome the funding that has kept them all open as well and kept them afloat. But it has been particularly difficult for community groups. And again, to acknowledge Jude and all of the staff in your department for, again, the quick turnaround. The funding comes in, it's a huge amount of administration and it has to be worked on very, very quickly. Jude, I have to say, has the patience of a saint, because I think he'd run half of us out of the place if there was anybody else there that'd run us out of the place. But he's huge patience, and you all try your best to share as whatever money does come in. So just to acknowledge that as well. We're just going to have one more motion and then we can have a little break for some refreshments. So Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, thanks, Catherlock. This was a deferred motion. I think this is probably one of the more dangerous junctions left in the county in terms of 4 crossroads. We all know the area, one road leading to the Holy Well, one back into Sligo, one heading towards Ballantor, the Drumcliff Road, and one back out to Jinxes. I think the sightlines here are quite shocking, particularly on exit from the Holy Well side onto the regional road. So I would ask, I know we had, I think, a motion on this before. I would ask that an assessment be carried out on this junction as soon as possible. I don't think if you stand here for 60 seconds, you will know that the sightlines aren't safe. So I look forward to the reply. Thanks, Gerlach.
Is there a report?
Cathaoirleach, thank you. The area engineer inspected this junction following hedge cutting works that were carried out in Q4 of 2021 and has determined that sightlines at this junction are adequate. Now, I don't know, Thomas, if you have looked at that sense.
Yeah, thanks to the senior engineer for the reply. I suppose, look, I think there has been a huge amount of near misses here. Like, I mean, the residents, they can hardly get out from the Holy Well side. So I'm not sure how the sightlines will be deemed safe. We might, if in agreement, we might have a meeting on site here with 1 or 2 of the residents if possible.
That's fine, Thomas. Yeah, we'll arrange that with Connor. Okay.
Thanks, William. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have a little break for a few minutes and we'll resume the meeting after. Thank you. Yeah, just 10 minutes is all it'll take. Okay, thanks. Apologies now for staff who are waiting, but that was very successful. And thanks to everyone for your contributions. Okay, we'll continue with the motions. Motion number 8 is my own. Is there a report, please?
Thanks, Cahir. Look, can everybody hear me there? They can?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just Sligo County Council have prepared outline designs in relation to works in Grange and Cliffney. Initial discussions have taken place with the TII and NTA in relation to some elements of these works. Any proposed works or projects in these areas must be subject of the TII and NTA approval process. Thanks, Cahir. Look.
Thank you, Declan. This is just, it's the same. There was funding announced for this before, or for various elements of it. And it's the same, you know, it's not your fault that we're getting the same report back from TII and NTA, but really, and even after this morning, like I am literally blue in the face asking for this funding. And I know that like it's not for, like it is a necessity, and every engineer who has ever visited both villages has said that it is a necessity. Traffic is going through far too quickly in both villages. Like I don't know how much longer we have to wait for this. And I know that it is on a national primary road, and there are obviously serious issues with that. But it's got to the stage where it's very, very, very frustrating now that I don't know how much longer we can wait, or we have to wait for this funding, or what do we have to do to just to get the funding in place properly to have these works carried out. And as was said earlier, you know, do we have to wait for an accident, you know, for everybody then to you know, to start giving out and then look for the funding and then get it. So I think if there's any way that we can actually meet properly with TII or the NTA or reps very soon, and just let them know the urgency of it, because it's just got to the stage now where I've lost count and lost track of the amount of motions that I have down since 2014 on this. So, you know, at this stage, it really is time just to get definitive funding for it. We don't need to explain anymore why we need this funding. So I'm proposing to keep this on the agenda until we have a definitive answer about funding from TII and the NTA. Thank you.
Can I go in, Cahir? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, it's absolutely every one of your frustrations, Cahir. Look, I feel them and I share them, and strange though it might be, even I'm blue at bringing them up. It mightn't be a colour people would associate with me too often. I had asked in March of last year that Sligo County Council installed speed sensors to carry out a speed survey at a number of locations along the N15, including Grange and Cliffney. And I was told that speed enforcement is a matter for the Garda Síochána, which is not what I was asking, and that Sligo County Council can raise the issues of speed at these locations with TII Regional Safety Engineer. And I suppose I'd like to know if that was done since March of last year. It was put in as a notice of motion, and we were told that it would be raised with them. And if it hasn't been done, what figures are they working on to know what the speed is and how many cars are breaking it? Is it the school children from Cliffney that we have to get to do the survey? Because it hasn't come back to us as members. I haven't seen any report on what the speeds are through those 4 areas that I asked at the time. And the 2 that are in the Cahirlock's motion today are included in that. Like, if we don't have the statistics and the facts, how can we make proper decisions? How can an engineering design be done when we don't know what we're taking on? Just looking at it on a particular day isn't an answer to it. It needs to be done over a period of time with a proper speed survey on what's going through. And that's not an enforcement survey. I'm not talking about giving tickets, actually measuring what is going on there with the strips on the road. And I think that's very important. But I echo everything the Cahirlock said. It is absolutely crazy in both villages. Getting out of the side roads, you're taking your life in your hands. It is just crazy. It's constantly going on. There's people doing U-turns in the middle of the road, coming from the schools, coming from the shops, things like that they shouldn't be doing. But it's just the way the whole thing is laid out. It's a mishmash from start to finish. So I'd appreciate the speedy, and I think we need to get some sort of a provisional line of what way the design is going. And I don't think I thought, based on your motion, Cathaoirleach, that we would have got that today, even a preliminary view of what's going on. But I think that has to be brought in front of us. And I second you that this should be kept on the agenda. And it really is vitally important. I think we have to ask TII to come down here and discuss it with us, with the 5 members for this area. We're the people that represent them. Thank you.
Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I suppose just following on from the children in the national school today, I want to support what Cathaoirleach and Councillor Gilroy has said. Is there a timeline for initial design on this, or where is this being held up? Thanks, Cathaoirleach.
Yeah, I just want to support the motion as well, and it's been well discussed. I want to echo what has been said already, and hopefully we can get the works done as soon as possible on this. Thank you.
Declan, do you want to answer that maybe about the timelines and see what is the hold up, or what can we do next?
I don't, Cathaoirleach, I don't have an answer in terms of the timeline, but we can certainly, I can discuss it with road design, who are discussing it with the TII and NTA, and get back to yourselves.
Thank you, that'd be great. And it's just even in relation to the footpath improvements, like on one side of the village Grange, there actually is no footpath at all. So it's not even a footpath improvement, it's just footpath installation. Again, you know all that, you've been out, we've discussed it enough times. So can you please, can I ask for everybody to make a huge concerted effort to move this forward as quickly as possible? Thank you. Now, motion number 9, Councillor Gilroy.
Okay, look, I have a response to motion number 9, if you can hear me.
Yes, thank you.
So the response is the owners of this development are proposing to make material changes or alterations which will require a plan application to be submitted. We expect this to be lodged in the coming months. As stated previously, Sligo County Council Planning Enforcement Section commenced enforcement action against the original owners of this development when work ceased some years ago. Following this, the property changed hands. As the original plan permission has now expired, any new works to Block B will require a new plan permission. The Planning Enforcement Section will continue to pursue the new owner in relation to the completion of this development to a satisfactory extent. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Things haven't changed since last May, really. You know, we were told that they intended to have it done within 12 months. It's now February. If they get an application in the coming months, there isn't a hope of them even having the permission got. You know, it would want to be a very set of green lights for them to get through. Even though I don't see you throwing any obstructions up to it, and there's no reason why it shouldn't get green lights. But it's gone on too long. That the people of Grange feel now that a developer can come in, make a mess of their village, leave it like downtown Beirut coming into it now. Even the takeaway has had to close because of the state of the building. It has really now just fallen into total disrepair. We're out there, we've had a tidy towns group that are working very hard to keep the place clean. And they say, you know, everybody might as well just start what they like, finish nothing, leave it abandoned, and really, and this is not a reflection on any of the planning staff personally, but you just don't seem to have the teeth. It's not that you don't have the willingness. I accept the work you've done and the work that Mark has done and all the rest, but you just don't seem to have the power to be able to and, you know, look at, it's changed ownership. We all know it's changed ownership. I think we'll find that there's a very close relationship between the current owners and the previous owners, and I don't mind saying that on the record. I think they're laughing at us, Frank, and you don't deserve that. Mark doesn't deserve that. You're doing the work. This council doesn't deserve that. The people of Grange certainly don't deserve this. This thing is just a blight on our beautiful village. And, you know, it's hard enough to keep things clean and tidy with lorries rolling through 24 hours a day and the dirt and everything on buildings. It's so hard for property owners to keep their premises clean and for the, you know, the tidy towns to go out and try and keep it clean and tidy. And just traffic causes muck and that's it. But this is just, to me, it looks like two fingers to you, to us, to everybody that's trying to bring the community on. And like, you know, we're 3 years or 2.5 years now, we're passed into this term. I think the next term will be out and we'll still have motions coming forward here in 6 or 7 years' time asking about this thing. And I think you have certainly my blessing to go hell for leather to do everything you possibly legally can to force this. And I take a good guess that the other councillors here will give you their blessing to do that as well. Thank you for the response, Frank. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, members. Yeah, just look at support the motion. You know, it's going on in many years now. It is an eyesore for the village. It's you know, the perception of the village has been deteriorated with the, you know, the conditions of the buildings, and it's a shame to see people who are trying to run business there having to close their businesses, and you know, it's a loss of employment for people as well in the area. So well done to all involved with the plan in the council in trying to liaise with the owners, and it's not an easy job trying to liaise and convince them to move on and get things done. So fair play to you all there, and look at keep up the good work. And look, it's not just here in Grange this problem is, but and it's a difficult issue to deal with. You know, owners can be difficult, and it's not easy. There's all sorts of implications and all sorts of issues with owners as well that we don't realise that they have, I suppose. But there's lots of help there for them. I think the message should be made clear to them that there's lots of help for them to move on and to help address the chronic short of housing in North Sligo. So yeah, well done and keep up the good work.
Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. And I'm not going to reiterate what Councillor Gilroy has said already. I support everything he said. We have the same issue in Ballastare with the old mill. You know, I'm not going to go into what Councillor Gilroy has already said, but from today's meeting, I suppose, would it be possible that we write to the developer asking for a timeline on when planning will be submitted and what works they anticipate doing, and a proposed outline timeline on this, and come back, and that we get a reply to the members from today's meeting. Would it be possible to seek a meeting with the current owners?
You address that at me, and I'd say, Frank, you probably have a far better chance of answering it, but I would imagine it could be quite difficult. You know, but look at there's also the antisocial behaviour in those buildings, and underneath super value there. You know, we don't want a fire or something starting. We don't want young people hurt. But there is stuff going on there that no village wants. So, but good luck if you can get a meeting. If you can get the representatives or them in, I'll gladly come to any meeting. Thank you.
Do you want to come back in, Frank?
Well, I might just to say that we will write to the current owners or their representatives, and we will indicate that there was a discussion about their property at the municipal district meeting where concerns were expressed about the continued vacancy and dereliction of the property. And on foot of that, we'll request a meeting with him and indicate that some of the elected members of Sligo County Council would like to attend such a meeting. If that's okay with the Caherlick and the rest of the members.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, and again, I won't go back over what was said already, but just to support the motion, it's been on the agenda as well for many's a meeting. Again, just to say for the tidy towns, when we look at our points every year, and there's been a huge amount of work done and a huge community effort done in the last, well, the last few years, but over the years. But you still see like the report sent back on the tidy towns, the report and the comments, and it's always about this part of the village, that the old part of the village scores very, very highly, and then it's just taken away. And I know, again, on National Primary Road, it's difficult to have very, very high points. I know that in Declan's town, you know, they've been very successful over the years with the tidy towns, but it's just not a national primary road either. So it is difficult, but it's just frustrating that no matter what you do, no matter how many flower boxes you put out, it's disheartening. And also, I suppose, being, you know, Street is a signature point on the, or it's a point on the Wild Atlantic Way as well. Grange is very, very popular village, very popular area. So many people want to live there as well. We cannot get property, but at the same time, there are vacant premises there for, you know, families could live there. It's right beside the school, the church, the shops, the dentist, the playground, the park, the chemist. We have the play centres. We literally have everything there apart from a 50-metre swimming pool that we'll work on at some stage. But, you know, we have the sports centre, we have fantastic community, and that is really the one thing that is just, it is such an eyesore, and it's just taken away from everything else. And people, you nearly go blind to looking at it, and then every now and again something, you know, there might be some part of a building falls in the footpath, or some timbers, or bits are rotten away. So it's just, you know, and I suppose it's just, you know, that you're past it and you see it every day as well. But definitely, I'm hoping that and I know that the owner has been contacted on many an occasion, and I know that you're trying your best as well, but at the same time, just something has to be done now as well. So thank you for that.
Thanks again, Cahir. Look, Declan, have you a short but sweet report for me?
I'll take this one. This is item 11. This is the Irish week now. Oh, sorry, 10 is Declan. Yeah.
Thanks, Cahir, and Donald. Just to reply, there is currently a large volume of projects under the umbrella of the Active Travel programme. Proposals for works are at various stages of feasibility, concept reports and preliminary designs. The top road in Ross's Point is currently at concept preliminary stage and is subject to the approval process of the NTA. It should be noted Sligo County Council have a large number of requests for funding under this programme. Projects will be prioritised over the coming months. Any scheme proposed will be subject to planning, detailed design, any required land acquisition and procurement process, and the approval process of the NTA before any construction works can commence. Thank you.
Thank you. Back in.
You know, NTA is almost becoming a bad word in my language now. They seem to have control over everything, and we seem to be very far down the line of hearing what their thoughts or their plans or whatever are. So thanks for the report, Declan. I knew you couldn't give me white smoke that I would love to see. That whole top part of Ross's Point has in some way, I wouldn't use the word neglected, but it has fallen a little off the radar, I think. And I've spoke with you recently about Spring Hill Close and the other road up above that were the residents tell me were taken in charge in 1999, and they're saying nothing has been done since, you know. And it is difficult for people to understand, and I think we're going to get bombarded as the fine work that's going to go on down on the seafront and along the main road into Ross's Point. When that gets done, people will be saying, what about us? I've also been asked, I suppose, by people, and you can't blame them for it, you know, what proportion of property tax is being paid by people in these areas. and that you might have a road up in a place like that where the houses are of high value, we all know that, but they pay higher property tax. And they're saying that there's roads in this county where nobody pays property tax, and they're getting serviced, and they're getting amenities, and they're getting footpaths and walkways and the devil knows what. And I think the entire Sligo Drumcliff area, I'd be surprised if it, I'd have my doubts, but that it's probably the highest paying of the 3 municipal districts. Yet we seem to be the lowest on the spending, and I'm sure my colleagues have all had this thrown to them. I know this school has contacted them all. Councillor Fox has referred to it earlier, and I know a few have been out to visit the school and to see it for themselves. There's a footpath outside the school that I presume was part of the planning permission when it was built, or when the parking bays were put outside it, and it just finishes at a wall at the end of the school, like just footpath that runs into a wall. And where do you go? You walk out through parked cars into an active line of traffic. It's not on. And I don't know how we're going to sort this out. But again, just like our previous one with that council, I think it was Councillor Walsh suggested, I think it's the NTA are going to have to come down here and start telling us what they're going to do with these things, because they seem to be, I don't know, using ye as a sort of a buffer between us and them, and it's time this thing got shook up a little bit, So, thanks for your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fox.
Yeah, I'll just be brief on that, just to support the motion. As we've spoken about it earlier on, with the presentation earlier on, and look, it's the day that's in it. I suppose the school is very important. It's a very busy place there along that top road, and the locals seem to use that area quite frequently. With the school, the church, and the golf club, and there's a Greenlands there. It's in badly need of resurfacing as well. There, I've tabled a motion there recently about that issue as well, and that needs to be addressed as well. It hasn't been resurfaced in many a year, so it needs to be looked at, and it needs to be addressed in the interest of the residents who have been living there for many a year, and those are the people who are paying their property tax and road tax, and they deserve better. So yeah, just to support the motion, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I too want to support the motion. The principal was in touch with myself also, and I suppose this is a project which fits all the criteria for the Active Travel Programme, which is a government-led programme over 5 years. We're currently in year 2 of it. Sligo has got another healthy allocation, and we have a lot of money to spend, both from year 1 of the 5-year strategy and year 2. And it's why government are investing 1 million per day in cycleways and walkways. So I think, to my knowledge, I think Ross's Point has been included in year 1 in either category A or B, just off recollection. So, possibly we could look at this as part of that. I'm quite sure it was, but if not, I presume we will be making a submission again for year 3. And if Ross Point hasn't been allocated any funding, I don't think it has been this year, but in year 1, that we would make allocation under category A or B for active travel. This is a small job, I mean, other local authorities are progressing active travel at a much faster rate than ourselves. I'm delighted that we now have an active travel team in place. Paul Porrick, and I understand soon to be someone else, dedicated active travel team, but we need to get these jobs out to procurement, and we need to get design completed on them, and get on with delivering our active travel programme, improving our walkways and our cycle infrastructures, which we haven't done for 10-15 years in the county. So look, we have the money to do this. We have an avenue for money, so I look forward to this developing, progressing in a positive manner.
Thank you. And just I'll be brief as well, just to support the motion. I think we've all been contacted at some stage about this, and Spring Hill Court as well. So I think, yeah, again, very, very busy area. And it's something, the funding is there. I know that you have a huge amount of applications, or you have a huge amount of projects for this funding, but at least now we don't have the excuse of no money. So we have the staff and we have the money. So, and I'm looking forward in the next few months to seeing a lot of these projects starting and finishing as well, because as Councillor Walsh said, it's not a huge project, but and it's a busy area, and again, it's a lovely place to visit, and I'm sure to live as well. So the residents are starting to get very frustrated as well about the I suppose the pace of the works that need to happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Cahirlock. And I suppose I've been contacted by a few people in Ballantor Village on this. You know, we have a serious housing situation problem on our hands right now. We have a large amount of lands zoned for development, and we don't have the infrastructure to support that development, particularly in our smaller villages. I welcome the fact that Mulligmore has been included in the upgrade scheme announced last year. It had been left out initially, but Ballantor, I'm told by Irish Water themselves, the system is currently overloaded. The funding available is not sufficient to address the upgrade of all sites. Ballantor will be considered further for upgrade as part of the prioritisation in the next investment plan 2025 to 2029. But if we're serious about building houses and providing housing across this county, we have to look at our wastewater treatment systems in our villages, where we have large amounts of land zoned for development. Do we expect a developer to come in and invest heavily in a wastewater treatment system, which we're lagging behind in real terms on? So I'm not sure if there's a different report or if there is a report.
I think the report is the letter from Irish Water that you received, Councillor Wood. So there's probably isn't any need to read it out, but it's as you said, it's prioritising schemes, and that Ballantor will be looked at in the next plan. And you know, emphasising again that Mulligmore has been put into this plan, but yeah, so it's the same information.
I just want to thank the senior engineer for her reply, but I suppose, I mean, as a local authority, I think we need to be contacting Irish Water and to be looking at this investment in our smaller villages of our wastewater treatment systems, because if we're serious about housing, we have to have the facilities, infrastructure to support housing developments. If Ballantor is currently overloaded, has multiple sites zoned for development, who's going to develop the land?
Thank you.
Thank you, Cahirlock. Yes, again, an excellent timely motion, and I look forward to reading the reply in full. But you know, I suppose it has to look, if the system is overloaded in Ballantor, where is the wastewater that isn't able to be treated by it going to? Is it going into Lochgill? Is it going into the drinking water for Sligo town? Are we going to wait until there's a case like there was in Galway a number of years ago, where a wastewater plant out in Uachtarards turned off the water supply to the entire Galway city? And I mean, that's what we're looking at here. And we're talking about a regional growth centre, what used to be a gateway city. Like, you know, if we have that coming into the drinking water, I'm afraid we're in trouble.
Okay, motion number 12, Councillor.
Thank you, Cahirlock. People will be familiar with this. It's on the main Carlow to Ballygawley Road. It's the overtaken lane on the new well, relatively new stretch. And the issue is, I suppose, where the turn is for Glenagulia on this overtaken lane. We've had a very bad accident just before Christmas here, where a car was turning and had to stall in the overtaken lane, and a car came up behind it. Likewise, a number of weeks ago, we had another near miss. There are now 5 houses in Glenagulia, and I would ask that some sort of an assessment be carried out here. We will have to look at design here. You know, there is no arrow for a turn into Glenagulia. There's no signage for the turn, and it's certainly something we're going to have to look at here, because these issues now have been pointed out. And as I say, there was a very bad accident here. I think it was the end of November, start of December, at this area. So have we a report?
Thanks, Cathaoirleach. Sligo County Council will carry out a review of the junction in question as resources allow. Thank you.
Thank you. That has to be the record for the shortest
Fairly
report
short.
ever. After Mr. O'Toole, I think had the record for the shortest. Seamus O'Toole is the record for the shortest report. So I think that's just picked it. We'll have to do a word count on it.
Thanks, Declan. You must have another meeting, but
It's nearly lunchtime. I'd like to second that. I'd like to second that. Motion.
Yeah, look, if we can look at this, Declan, I would appreciate it. You know, we don't need another accident, and the residents have sought a meeting here. We might meet them when there is a chance available.
Just like to support it as well. I mean, I've been on that road and considered overtaking somebody, and then realised the car that was in the outside lane wasn't just passing, it was turning right. And, you know, if you didn't have your wits about you, which unfortunately some drivers don't, you could very easily cause a serious accident.
I'll support that motion as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Declan, for that. So Councillor Healy isn't here, so motion number 16, Councillor Gilroy.
Yeah, second.
Yeah. Can we have the update, please, Declan? Not too short.
It's a bit longer this time, Donald. Cathaoirleach, consultation has taken place and agreement reached with the local communities regarding the proposed bus shelter locations. Design work is ongoing, subject to resources. We plan to go to tender towards mid this year. The commencement of construction phase will depend on the availability of contractors. That's it. Thank you.
That's very welcome. Thank you. Hopefully we'll see a start on them for next winter, if we could at all, to see children outstanding and maybe elderly people who are waiting on buses standing out in the rain. It's gone on for too long. Councillor Fox here seconded me. He was in this council in 2019. I know it was his very first motion, and I'll never take away from that. He was bang on the mark. These are badly needed, and I suppose I might go back to the first motion from Councillor Casserly, the Cathaoirleach, about the survey of the speeds through the village, because again the bus shelters take part of that as well, that the buses are going to be stopping in line, and for all of this design work, either for this or for the previously what we were discussing, we need to know what the current level of speeding is through the villages. I know it in reality, and I know all the other councillors know it in reality as well, but it's something that affects the bus stopping as well. If the overall design isn't fit for buses stopping in line, then we've got a problem because of the speeding, not because of the design being wrong, because of people not obeying the law. But we don't know how many are breaking it and by how much, and that those figures are vital to us. And as I said earlier, I asked, you know, that I put that forward 11 months ago, and whether anything has been done on it. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to support the motion as well, they've been on the agenda a long time as well. and it's good to hear that they're going to be fitted, but just the pace of a lot of these projects, just it's so infuriating for ourselves but for people on the ground who have been asking for these for a long time. And also just to note that I've been asked a lot of times for a bus shelter at Dunleavy's shop in Maharow as well. I know that the local link provide a very good service there, and a lot of people use the local link there, but again they're standing out. There's nowhere for them to stand when it's raining in the wintertime, particularly elderly people using the service. And I know that because it's not an official, well actually I was told that it is an official bus Éireann stop as well, but there is a bus Éireann route there was, so technically there should be a bus shelter there, and if there isn't one, can we try and get one ourselves through the local authority fitted, because again it's a very busy service, big hinterland there, lots of people using rural transport, and that's great, but family members ask me when they have their elderly relations dropped off at the bus and they're standing in the rain, or they have to sit in the car until the bus comes along. So if it's not on the list, can we please do something about it ourselves as a local authority to provide some sort of a bus shelter there? And I also to acknowledge your consultation. We spoke about it earlier on, Declan, the consultation with locals in the villages, and particularly in Grange and Clifney, in relation to where the shelters are going to be fitted, because it does have a knock-on effect on businesses. And again, I think to thrash it out literally on the roadside and to hear everybody's opinions and to hear their concerns, that's most important, because then we move on with it. So just to acknowledge that as well, and I know that it was appreciated at the time. So with Maharow, if we can add it to the list as well, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Fox.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a seconder.
Oh, sorry, apologies. I thought you were finished. I didn't think you were going to speak on it.
Yeah, just to say a few words briefly. Look, it was back in the local election campaign back in 2019. It was a big issue, and I'm sure Councillor Gilroy would agree with me there. You know, everybody wanted to have these installed as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and so I tabled a motion, and it was supported, and it's what I'm asking for today is that these are prioritised. I know there is shortage of staff to do the work on that, but I think they should be prioritised. It's a very busy road, it's a very busy route, and it's badly, these bus shelters are a necessity for the people, for constituents throughout North Sligo. It's in this day and age, it's just not acceptable to have the elderly and the young kids standing on the side of the road and with no proper shelter. Now, I've seen throughout the county there's been signage put up at bus stops throughout the county. It's good to see that progress being made, but we need to see progress with bus shelters in Grange and in Clifney. And again, I want to reiterate that it should be prioritised. And you know, I attended various meetings there with yourself, Declan, and it was very informative. And you know, it's not easy getting these jobs done, but look, if we need to get it done, we need to get it done now. Thanks.
Carola, can I just finish and just to say again, thanks to them for coming out that day to help and to compliment you. I know Tom Waters pointed out to you a particular piece of ground that hadn't been repaired by Irish Water, and you took it on board and got it repaired very quickly afterwards. He did come to me to ask me to convey his thanks to you for getting that done. You might notice his daughter was one of the presenters today, so there's another generation of them. If you think you wear one down, one Waters down, there seems to be another one coming along behind, like the grandfather. So look, that's been done, and as Tom said at the public meeting, I remember they made their 5 key points that they wanted to in Clifney at that public meeting, and the bus shelter was left off it because we said it's coming. You know, you had told us at that stage it was on the way, and we said, look, it's coming. That battle is won, but God, we're a year and a half or more after that now, and they're looking to see a bit of movement on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks everybody for those contributions. Just item number 17 on votes of sympathy. I'd like to pass on my condolences, I'm sure on behalf of the municipal district, to John Pa Leonard, who recently passed away, who's father of Sinead, Courtney, and father-in-law of Brian, who are two staff members here. But just to pass on the sympathies to the family, just because it was very sudden, and he was a gentleman, an absolute gentleman, and a lovely family as well. So our condolences to them all. Thank you.
I'd like to second that, if it could be noted, please.
Thank you. Votes of congratulations.
Yes, I have one in there to Martin and Saoirse O'Dwyer in Upperwood and Grange. Their house is going to feature in the coming weeks on the Home of the Year. If I suppose anyone living anywhere in the world looks at the view they have out, that beautiful round window at the top of their house, they'll see that it is, you know, I suppose that little road, Upperwood, isn't one that will be known by a lot of people, but it's had Ireland's fittest family, an Olympic finalist, and now a Home of the Year contestant that I would be shocked if they're not in the final shake-up in it. So our congratulations to them and their wonderful home.
Thank you. And correspondence? Noted. And the schedule and location of meetings for 2022. So we have the Councillor Watt? No, not yet. No, just the schedule and location of meetings first. Item number 20.
Can I just come in on this? Look, I just asked the members, maybe I'm just going to put something forward, and I suppose in Ballantor we're, as you know, one of 4 digital hubs that's being developed across the county under the Atlantic Economic Corridor Scheme and the Connected Hub Scheme, which has been launched by Minister Humphreys on the 21st of this month. And I suppose we would have been open already, only for the fact of contractors holding us up and been quite painful over the last number of months. But either moving on from that, I suppose I'm just wondering, would it be possible with agreement of the members that we have hold a municipal meeting in the hub maybe halfway through the year or towards the end of the year. We hope to be open in maybe 2 months, and just I suppose as part of that, either before it or after it, that we might hold a municipal meeting in the conference room adjoining the hub. Just to it will be a good occasion. I think it's a state-of-the-art digital hub, and I've been asked by the board for it to be considered.
Thank you. I'll second that one. Thank you.
Just when we had Cliffany here this morning, their Cliffany Hall had actually asked that they be considered as a location as well. And you know, our meetings should be held in our area. It's a pity we don't have a municipal building anywhere to hold them. So we're going to be stuck with challenges, and our technological experts like Karen here are going to have problems in getting all that across the line. But there's no reason why we shouldn't be going out into our community. I know the plan was to do this, even Kieran Hayes was supporting it in his time, and I know Martin does. So I think it'd be nice to reach out into the communities. So I propose that Cliffany be included in that as well. Okay. And plenty of other places will come up too. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, second that. What's that? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so the dates are there, and they were sent out, and the dates of the AGM.
Just the AGM is, yeah, the
okay, so
20th of June following the MD meeting on that day.
Is that okay?
The 20th of June. Yeah. So you'll have a regular meeting that day, followed by the AGM.
So the next one is, thanks, John. The next one, second Monday of every second month, 10 a.m. So the next one is the 11th of April, the 20th of June, which, as John said, to follow MD meeting. Bank holidays, the 6th plenary meeting, the 13th, no meeting in August, and then the 12th of September and the 14th of November. So that's the 11th of April, 20th of June, 12th to 13th, is it? 12th September, sorry, 12th September and 14th of November. Oh, yeah, yeah. That'll be circulated, yeah. Thank you. AOB? No, nothing, okay. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for everyone online.
Thanks, Caherlock, for
thanks to the media as well.
Thanks, Caherlock, for the welcome you showed to the children this morning, and
Very
I think it was a great day's work today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And happy Valentine's Day.